Hello everyone, welcome to the world of object-oriented programming using C++. Today we will discuss about the basic concepts of object-oriented programming language. So, the basic pillars of the object-oriented programming using C++, there are 9 pillars. One is the object, then class, then abstraction, sometimes it is called data abstraction, then encapsulation, data hiding, inheritance, polymorphism, dynamic binding, and message passing. So these are the 9 pillars of the C++ language, which is object-oriented programming language. As you know, C is a case-sensitive language. Likewise, we have C++. C++ is also a case-sensitive language. So what is a case-sensitive? Whatever you are writing in C++, if anything you have to write in caps lock, you have to write in caps lock. Otherwise, whatever you are writing in caps lock is different than that of you are writing anything with the caps lock off, right? So the basic of C++ is the object. Object is what? Object is the basic runtime entity in an object-oriented programming language. In any object-oriented programming language, not even C++, in any object-oriented programming language. So the object is to access the data member and member function of a class. So if we are writing a class, whatever is written inside the class, say the class name is test. So as you know, class is a user-defined data type. Now, test is the name of the class. Now, test T. Now T is the object of the class test. So, the code written inside the class is accessible through the object of the class. So, we can access all the data member and member function of a class using the object of that class, right? So, in other words, we can say object is a variable of type class. Likewise, if we have int a, likewise we have test t. This is inbuilt data type and this is user defined data type, right? So object is the basic runtime entity which is used to access the data member and member function of a class. So now second point is, what is a class? Class is a container of two things. One is data member and another is member function. Data member is the variable that is declared or defined inside the class. Wherever it is defined, if it is defined in the function, it's fine. So the data members are a variable. Here the variable means identifier, where the variable of the class is called data member, and the functions inside the class, they are called member function. So all the data member and member function is available only through the object of that class. So I am giving you an example. Say there is a class, say name of the class is test. I am writing everything inside the public section. It's not the matter of discussion. The access modifier is not the matter of discussion of this lecture. So I am writing the things in public section. Say there is a function. You can declare some variable before that function. Say int A, B, C. Now the function, if I am writing A is equal to 5, B is equal to 2, then C is equal to A plus B. Now, this is the end of the class. So, these are the data member declared inside the class. A, B, C are the data member. These are the variables in C language, but now they are called as data member. Member function is what? The function declared or defined inside the class. So A, B, C are the data member, and function is the member function of that class. So we have the wrapping of the data member and member function inside the class. We don't know what is inside the class. We know the object of the class. So say test T. Now T is the object of the class. If I want to access A, B, C, I can access it through T. So T dot A is 5. I can write it like this. So I have to use T every time. If I want to access, if I am accessing A, B, C or 1, I have to use T for it, right? Because T is the object. Likewise, if I am doing, I am accessing function fun, so I have to use the object T to access the function fun, right? So this is the class, this is the object, these are the data member, and this is the member function. So the member function we can access it through the object of the class. So this is the relationship between the object and the class. Now the abstraction. See, everything what we are using in C++ is taken from the real world. What is that real world? In real world we know we like abstraction. There is abstraction in my body. There is an abstraction in car. I know how to operate the car. I know the accelerator, brake, clutch, pedal control, steering wheel. Only the basic functionality which is visible, I can access that basic functionality of the class, right? So this is the abstraction. I don't know about the mechanism which is involved to drive a car, right? To make a car even. So this is what is the abstraction. I'm concerned with the object behavior of the fan. How the fan is moving, I don't know. But I know if I press the switch, the fan will start. Right? So I know the abstract behavior of the car. I know the abstract behavior of the fan. So I like abstraction. Human being like abstraction. Abstraction is what? We are accessing the detail written inside the class through the object of the class. We don't know the detail, what is written inside the class. We use the object of the class to access the data member and member function. So this is called the abstraction. Likewise, the encapsulation. Encapsulation is what? Wrapping up of data member and member function inside the class is called encapsulation. It's capsule. Like we have different components, different compound inside the capsule, and we want them to react somewhere else. We want all the you can say the chemicals to react inside my stomach. So that reaction is better in my stomach but not in my mouth. So someone encapsule all the compounds inside some wrapper, right? So this is called encapsulation. Why encapsulation is required? I want this function to react somewhere else. So I encapsulate all these things inside the class. In the C++, you can have, you can use single name variable in many different classes. So here is ABC, you can use ABC somewhere else. So these are the things which is inside the class but not outside the class. I want them to react somewhere else, so I can make it there with the use of encapsulation. किसी भी ऑब्जेक्ट के थ्रू अगर हम डाटा मेंबर और मेंबर फंक्शन को एक्सेस करते हैं तो उसमें encapsulation is a very useful word. कोई भी ऑब्जेक्ट object is containing some data member and member function. Actually, class is not, we are saying that object is representing a representation of the data member and the member function. So, encapsulation is to encapsulate, to club together different data member and member function inside the class. Data hiding. This step is taken from the abstraction, encapsulation, right? So data hiding, data is hidden from the user point of view. What is inside the class? We don't know. But the data written inside the class is hidden from the user point of view. So this is called data hiding. Next is the inheritance. It's very interesting topic, the inheritance. I am giving you the abstract view of all the, you can say, the topics of C++, right? So the inheritance. Inheritance is what? Like the property of the parents is acquired by their child. This is called inheritance. हम लोग क्या कहते हैं कि ये मुझे लगता है ये बच्चा उसका है because his or her face is resembling with that person. That is inheritance. हमने कहा कि पहलवान है, उसका बेटा पहलवान बना है, right? तो ये लड़का है, ये लड़की है, ये पहलवान है, तो उसकी बेटी होगी. Why also? Because we know that inheritance is there. उसकी शक्ल उससे मिलती है या उसकी क्वालिटीज उससे मिलती है. So what is inheritance? Some I'm saying some or all the property of any parent is acquired by its child is called inheritance. Likewise, some or all the property of a base class acquired by its child class is called inheritance. We have many types of inheritance. First one is the single inheritance. Single inheritance is what? When the property of a base class is acquired by its child class, then it is called single inheritance or single level of inheritance. Now, if there is, say, function fun1 and we have the object of this class, say object t. Now, in child class, the fun1, any function 1 is not there. Now, if I can access the function 1 through the object of the child class, then we can say that function 1 is inherited in child class. T dot fun 1. If I am using this, T is the object of class child, but there is no function fun1 inside the class child, but I can access the function 1 through the object of this child class. इस child class में function 1 नहीं है, but child class के object के through मैं function 1 को access कर रहा हूँ. This is called the inheritance. This is called single level of inheritance. So, when the property of a child class is acquired, the property of the parent class or the base class is acquired by its child class, then it is called the inheritance. If there is a single inheritance, means one class which is having some function, then the another class derived from this base class which is not having that function, and we are accessing that function through the object of the derived class. So this is called single level of inheritance. Sometimes we have multiple inheritance. Multiple inheritance. In the multiple inheritance, now you can think that sometime हम कहते हैं कि फादर और मदर दोनों की प्रॉपर्टी बच्चे ने आई है. This is called multiple inheritance. This is parent 1, P1, you can say this, the name of this class is P1. This is parent 2 and this is child class. When the property of two or more than two base class is acquired by its child class, this is called multiple inheritance. Means if there is function P1 here and there is function P2 here, and we are accessing, this is child class, this is object T of class child. If we are accessing function P1 and function P2 through the object of child class, then we can say this is a multiple inheritance. So I can access this like this: T dot fun P1 and T dot fun P2. Both the function fun P1 and fun P2 are there in parent class but not in child class. But we are accessing these two functions through the object T of class child. Right? This is called multiple inheritance. Next level of inheritance is hierarchical inheritance. This is just opposite that of the multiple inheritance. Hierarchical inheritance is what? This is class parent and this is child 1, child 2, child 3. These are the classes. So, in hierarchical inheritance, when the property of a parent class is acquired by two or more than two child class, the property of the parent class is acquired by its child classes, and child classes are two or more than two, then this type of inheritance is called hierarchical inheritance. So in the hierarchical inheritance, say there is a function f(u)n(p), function parent, and we have the object of class C1 is, you can say, T1, object of class C2 is, you can say, T2, and object C3, you can say T3 is the object of class C3. I have function P. Now, if I can access this function P, f(u)n(p) through the object of class C1, or T2 is the object of class C2, so I am accessing the same function P through T2. Now, same thing I am doing with class third, f(u)n I am using dot operator for it. So the same function is I am accessing it through the object of class C1, object of class C2 and the object of class C3. This is called the hierarchical inheritance. एक फादर है, उसके 3 बच्चे हैं, वो तीनों बच्चों में एक पर्टिकुलर प्रॉपर्टी जो फादर में थी वो तीनों बच्चों में आई है, राइट? The property of the parent class, single parent class, is acquired by its child. Childs are more than 2 or more than 2, right? So this is called the hierarchical inheritance. Now the multi-level inheritance. In the multi-level inheritance, we have hierarchy of grandfather. अगर हम कहें कि दादा की जो प्रॉपर्टी है, जो दादा के फीचर्स हैं, वो उसके पोते में आए हैं, राइट? तो हम कहेंगे इसको मल्टी लेवल इनहेरिटेंस. सो इन द मल्टी लेवल इनहेरिटेंस, say this is grandparent class, this is parent and this is child class. You can say GP, grandparent, you can say fun, GP. And now we have the object T. The object T is of class C. Now we have fun GP, means is the name of the function. Function grandparent, in which is declared or defined inside the class grandparent, and it is inherited in parent and further inherited in child. So this is called multi-level inheritance. When the property of a grandparent class is acquired by its child and further the property of this child, which is now parent of class C, is acquired by the child class. Now there are the 2 levels of inheritance, right? So this is called multi-level inheritance, right? So multi-level inheritance is what? When the property of the grandparent is acquired by the parent, which is further inherited or acquired by its child. This is called multi-level inheritance. Now the last type of inheritance is hybrid inheritance. Hybrid inheritance. Hybrid inheritance is what? When you have grandparent and 2 child of it, which is further the parent of the further class, now this type of inheritance is called hybrid inheritance. Now say this is grandparent, the class grandparent, this is parent 1, this is class parent 2 and this is class child. Now if there is a function, say function GP is declared or defined inside the grandparent class, now this function is inherited in P1 and in P2 and now further inherited in child class. Now through the object of child class, if we can access the function GP here, then this is called the special type of inheritance, which is called hybrid inheritance. Why the hybrid inheritance is special? Because the copy of the same function is coming through this and coming through this path, means coming through the parent path and parent 2 path. So here we have to declare the class, it must be a special type of class, right? So it's a virtual base class. So you have to declare is virtual, so that the copy of the same will not be there in child class. Now, the next topic of the discussion is polymorphism. Polymorphism is what? Poly means more than one. Morphis basically is a Greek god. A god which can come in many forms. That is polymorphism. So, poly it consists of two words, poly and morphis. Morphism is come from the word morphis. Polymorphis was a Greek word, polymorphis. So morphis was a Greek word which come in many form. So polymorphis means ability of any object or any, I can say, entity to perform more than one task in different situation. Ability of any object to you can say behave differently in different situation are polymorphism. Basically, polymorphism are of two types. One is compile time polymorphism and second is runtime polymorphism. Compile time and second is runtime polymorphism. Here the polymorphism is what? If any object is behaving differently, if any function is behaving differently, or any function which is declared in base class or derived class is behaving differently. So we have three things. If behaving differently, we can say it as a polymorphism. Compile time polymorphism further have two variants, or it is of two types. One is function overloading and second is operator overloading. And runtime polymorphism is a virtual function. Function overloading, operator overloading fall under the category of compile time polymorphism, and virtual function fall under the category of runtime polymorphism. So what is it? Function overloading is the ability of a function to perform different tasks in different situations. Or function overloading again, the ability of an object to behave differently in different situations. So function overloading means to say, the plus button of your calculator, what it can perform? It can add 2 numbers, 3 numbers, 4 numbers. So any number of entity it can add. Likewise, if we are writing the code of sum of 2 numbers and we are declaring and defining the name of the function sum. Now sum can add only 2 numbers because it is designed to add only 2 numbers. But in C++, we can add 3 numbers or more than 3 numbers by using the same function name sum. If the number of parameters are different, C++ इसको different वे से इसको एनालाइज करता है, डिफरेंट एल्गोरिथम और कोडिंग इसके लिए लिखता है. So sum having two parameter is a different function with each other. T is the object. We are sending information through the parameter of the function sum through the object T of any class. So information is communicating through the message sum. Again, information is communicating, means information 5 and 2 is communicating through the message sum of the object T of any class. This is called message passing feature of C++. So that's all about it. I have given you the basic things, basic entities which are used in object-oriented programming using C++. It's a matter of discussion that each and every topic is having a wide range of you can say coding, but basically we have the idea of all the pillars of C++. In the next topic, we'll discuss the things in detail. Thank you.